This increases something called the afterload on your heart. The heart has to pump harder to push that blood out. It is important to know about these 5 exercises that can worsen your high blood pressure and even damage your heart. You definitely will have to avoid the last exercise that I'm going to mention, so let's get right into this countdown. And at the very end, I will suggest where you can know about the exercises which you can actually do to correct your high blood pressure. Number 5, avoid isometric exercises or exercises where you are just holding. Have you heard about the plank? This is a very common exercise. You are on your hands and elbows and your toes, and you're trying to contract all muscles of your body, and you're trying to keep that pose for as long as you can. Stop this right now if you do this. Unfortunately, these are very popular, but they can be bad for high blood pressure. This basically means you are holding one contracted position. You are not going between contraction and relaxation. You are in this contracted pose. What this type of exercise does is that it leads to a sustained elevated blood pressure in your body. On the other hand, when you contract and relax intermittently, your blood pressure increases for a moment and then it relaxes. And if you exercise when your blood pressure is already high to begin with, and you do these plank type exercises, then you will unduly raise your blood pressure. So these isometric or static holds can be a problem with high blood pressure. Better advice would be to perform weight exercises where you are constantly moving, or involved in aerobic exercises where you are surely moving. Men actually do exercises such as chin-ups, and then they hold that position. That may be good for their back muscles as well as their arms and forearms, but if you maintain that hold and you have high blood pressure, these static exercises can cause unnecessary and persistent rise in your blood pressure. Medically speaking, this increases something called the afterload on your heart, the afterload. And this is detrimental to your heart if you have high blood pressure. Your heart can surely handle an intermittent rise in the afterload, but not a continuous and sustained rise in your blood pressure and afterload. The number 4 exercise to avoid is you have to avoid exercises lifting above your head. The major exercise here is the shoulder press. Yes, it will make your deltoids look great, but it may hurt your heart and your blood pressure. You can possibly do side raises if you want to do this type of exercise. You can do it like this. The problem with this is that the heart now needs to pump blood against gravity and needs to pump harder instead of smarter. Not only that, but when your muscles in your arm and your forearm are contracting during this exercise, they're also pressing against your blood vessels, leading to a further unnecessary rise in your blood pressure and an unnecessary rise in your afterload on your heart. The heart has to pump harder to push that blood out. Number 3 thing to avoid: improper breathing while lifting weights. Well, this is not an exercise itself, but this affects all weightlifting exercises. A lot of people make the mistake that they hold their breath while they're pushing or actively lifting. When you're doing an active motion, you have to be breathing out. When you're relaxing or lowering the weight, then you should take your deep breath in, just like this. If you're pushing out, you should be pushing out air. But when you hold your breath during exercise, you're doing something called a Valsalva. And Valsalva causes blood to flow away, leading to an increased blood pumping into your limbs that may unnecessarily raise your blood pressure. This is also basically taught by trainers anyways, but sometimes we forget. And people with high blood pressure should not forget about this. Number 2 is going to be avoid isolated exercises. Yes, we have now deeply ventured into weightlifting. Doing isolated exercises is not as helpful for high blood pressure. For example, you're only doing bicep curls the whole time you're at the gym. You should look to do more combined exercises such as the upright row or sitting on a rowing machine itself. Your upright row will work on your bicep as well as your shoulder as well as your back. It will naturally get more muscle involved, and the blood pumped out by the heart will be circulated in all of these areas. Similarly, people with high blood pressure should look to switch between upper body and lower body weightlifting exercises, possibly within that same exercise session. This leads to blood circulating all over the body, and blood vessels open up all over the body, which will further reduce your high blood pressure. And number 1 most important exercise to avoid while having high blood pressure is avoiding heavy, excessive weights. Do you guys remember, guys, Eddie Hall? He was the world's strongest man, but lifting unliftable weights can also put unnecessary pressure on your brain. He lifted 500 kilograms on a deadlift, and that is more than 1,100 pounds. And his blood pressure was estimated to be over 300 by 180. He bled from his ears and he bled from his nose. Basically, he ended up collapsing. Just lifting weights can be helpful. However, excessive weights can be damaging. If your blood pressure is high and you are lifting such heavy weights that you are only doing around 4 to 5 repetitions, and in this manner, you are stressing out your heart. Once you lift weights, you should be able to do at least 10 to 15 repetitions. Don't go to the stage that your face is flushed up and you can barely do 10 reps. And it's okay, you don't have to lift the heaviest. Weight training is great, but excessive amounts or excessive weights can be problematic, and do everything in moderation here as well with exercise. Exercise is always a tricky subject, and you have to ask your doctor if you are able to perform certain exercises. And of course, they have to look at your particular health situation. But otherwise, if you're able to do exercise and if you're able to do this properly, then you should be able to get off some of your pills as well. And if you really want to work on your blood pressure, I have a detailed course which I call the Blood Pressure Boss course. It will get you the knowledge that you need to correct your blood pressure. It goes over aspects of the physiology of blood pressure as well as natural treatments and supplements and exercises, all of this without medication. And you can start doing this right now and today because it is readily available. And if you are taking medication, it goes over the uses, the most common side effects that you should know about. You have the whole course. So the good thing about this is you have the whole course available to yourselves. You can watch it whenever you want. It is also so economical that everybody can afford it, and it is the same price as a regular dinner outing. Although I feel that the value you will get is truly priceless, it will get you in the mood to fix your blood pressure. That's the real benefit in my opinion, and you will take your health seriously and give yourself the motivation that you need. I also have motivational videos in that course. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys soon.